Federal agents raided Hyundai's flagship Georgia factory in a dramatic early morning operation, their presence sending shockwaves through the local community and the global auto industry. What was once a shining symbol of US-Korean partnership and industrial ambition has now become the epicenter of a deepening crisis. The mass arrest of South Korean engineers, many of whom were handpicked for their expertise, has thrown Hyundai's multi-billion-dollar American EV ambitions into chaos, leaving both the company and the community reeling. These weren't just workers, they were the technical masterminds, the specialists needed to launch Hyundai's most advanced US plant, and the backbone of the project's success. Their sudden removal has crippled the project, halting progress and leaving a vacuum of expertise that can't be quickly filled by local hires or temporary replacements. Years of careful planning, investment, and goodwill have unraveled almost overnight, casting serious doubt on Hyundai's future in America and raising questions about the stability of such ventures. The raid shattered trust on all sides, forcing Hyundai to reconsider its massive investment in what was supposed to be a stable, welcoming environment for global business. Now, the company faces a monumental facility, state-of-the-art but eerily silent, without the specialized manpower to operate or complete it. The fallout is just beginning, progress has ground to a halt, diplomatic tensions are rising, and the future of the project hangs in the balance. Foreign investors everywhere are taking note, watching closely as the situation unfolds and reconsidering their own plans. If a global giant like Hyundai can be brought to its knees overnight, what does that mean for others hoping to build their dreams here? This is no longer just Hyundai's problem, it's a stark warning to every global company betting on America's promise, and a moment that could reshape the future of international investment. The Georgia battery plant was nearly complete, a gleaming symbol of the state's ambitions to become a hub for next-generation manufacturing. Hyundai's sprawling facility, set to employ thousands, was the centerpiece of a $26 billion investment strategy that promised to transform the region's economy. But that promise was shattered in an instant when federal agents swarmed the site, catching everyone off guard and sending shockwaves through the local community. Nearly 475 people were detained, including over 300 South Korean engineers and technicians, highly skilled experts sent from Seoul to install and calibrate the plant's cutting-edge machinery, and to train American workers for the jobs of the future. The arrests brought the high-tech installation to a grinding halt, silencing the heart of Hyundai's new facility and leaving millions of dollars worth of equipment idle. The Trump administration cited immigration violations, but many workers believed their paperwork was in order for temporary assignments, and confusion reigned as legal teams scrambled to respond. These specialists, accustomed to global projects and cross-border teamwork, suddenly found themselves in legal limbo, unsure if they would ever return to their workstations. For Hyundai, the sight of its elite personnel, led away in restraints, was devastating. A public blow to its reputation, and a personal crisis for the families involved. The $26 billion investment strategy was paralyzed overnight, with ripple effects felt across the global supply chain. The raid didn't just stop work. It severed the vital link between Korean expertise and American manufacturing, threatening the future of the entire project. Empty workshops and silent machinery now stand as stark reminders of a partnership shattered in hours, and of the uncertainty that can upend even the most ambitious plans. The message to global investors was clear. Even flagship projects, backed by billions in international cooperation, aren't safe from sudden disruption. After the raid, detained South Korean workers faced a choice, whether to stay and continue their work, or to leave everything behind. But the trauma of their treatment, the shock of being suddenly detained and questioned, made the decision for them. Many described feeling as if they had become suspects overnight, simply for doing their jobs. These were seasoned professionals, people who had built factories across the globe, yet nothing had prepared them for the hostility and fear they experienced in the US. The sense of being unwelcome was overwhelming. The feeling of being criminalized, despite coming to help build a future, destroyed any trust they had in the US system. For many, it was a betrayal of the promise of opportunity and respect. The overwhelming sentiment among the workers was clear. America is not a safe place to work, at least not for them. Their sense of security was shattered. When offered a chartered flight home, nearly all 316 South Korean workers, who had once been eager to contribute their expertise, and 14 other foreign nationals from different countries, chose to leave immediately, unwilling to risk their safety or dignity any further. Only one worker decided to stay, and that was because of deep family ties in the US, not because he felt safe or welcome. For the rest, this was not a business calculation, but an emotional escape from a perceived threat. The fear and anxiety were simply too great to ignore. Their sudden departure left Hyundai's Georgia plant a high-tech shell, missing the very talent and experience needed to bring it to life and fulfill its promise. The image of experts fleeing the US sent a chilling message to the global business community, raising questions about America's openness to international talent. The skills vacuum at the plant is now a cautionary tale, a warning to companies and workers everywhere about the risks of working abroad. Hyundai's American dream was gutted in a single week, leaving behind only empty buildings and unanswered questions. The world was watching and taking notes as the story of the workers' exodus echoed far beyond Georgia's borders. Realizing the economic fallout, President Trump made a public plea for the detained workers to stay and help train Americans. The administration offered a new protected status, hoping to salvage the Hyundai project. Secretary of State Marco Rubio met with South Korea's foreign minister, proposing a diplomatic solution. But the South Korean government firmly rejected the offer, citing the workers' trauma and desire to return home. The psychological damage was too deep. No incentive could undo the sense of betrayal. For the US, it was a harsh lesson. Legal fixes can't repair broken trust. The workers' mass departure became inevitable. The failed plea marked a turning point. Hyundai's crisis could not be patched over with policy. The administration was left with a self-inflicted economic wound. The disconnect between legal logic and human reality was laid bare. The damage was done, and the project's future was in jeopardy. The Georgia raid sent shockwaves through South Korea's business elite. If Hyundai's top engineers could be arrested, no Korean company felt safe. Hyundai's $26 billion US investment plan is now under review, and other giants like Samsung and LG are rethinking their own projects. President Lee Jae-myung warned that such incidents would make Korean firms hesitant to invest further in the US. The foundation of trust, stable laws, safe movement of key staff, has been shaken. South Korea is now demanding new visa protections, but the damage to America's reputation is real. Korean investors are nervous, and the flow of capital that fueled US manufacturing is at risk. If Hyundai withdraws, the shockwaves will hit every corner of the US auto industry. Hyundai and Kia's exit would instantly shrink supply, driving up prices for new cars. Their absence would give rivals more power to raise prices, especially in the affordable and electric vehicle segments. Hyundai's EVs, like the Ioniq 5, have been crucial competitors to Tesla and GM. Without them, America's EV transition would slow, and consumer choice would shrink. The economic fallout would be massive. Factories in Alabama and Georgia would close, costing tens of thousands of jobs. Suppliers, logistics firms, and local businesses would suffer, triggering a regional crisis. The entire US automotive supply chain would be destabilized. Hyundai is deeply woven into American manufacturing. Its exit could cause bankruptcies among smaller suppliers. The industrial base would weaken, making cars more expensive for everyone. Decades of progress could unravel in months. For American families, Hyundai's exit would mean fewer choices and higher prices at the dealership. Popular models like the Elantra and Tucson would vanish, forcing buyers to settle for pricier alternatives. With less competition, brands like Toyota and Honda could raise prices. The impact would be even worse for electric vehicles. Hyundai's affordable EVs would disappear, leaving only expensive options. The loss of Hyundai's $7,500 EV incentive would push electric cars out of reach for many. Even used Hyundais would lose value, as long-term support becomes uncertain. The used car market would tighten, driving up prices for other brands. Whether you're buying new or used, the market would become less friendly and more expensive. Hyundai's absence would hit consumers where it hurts most: their wallets. As the dust settles, Hyundai faces a crossroads that could reshape the US auto industry. High-stakes negotiations are underway, but the breach of trust is deep. Hyundai must weigh the cost of leaving against the risks of staying. For American workers, the threat of job losses looms large. Drivers face fewer choices and higher prices if Hyundai pulls back. The dream of affordable American-made EVs is now in jeopardy. This crisis exposes the fragility of global supply chains and the need for strong international partnerships. The next moves by Hyundai and US policymakers will decide the future of American manufacturing and your next car.